Pull-ups are such an incredible exercise, and by far they are one of my favorites. And I feel like they're just so confidence-inducing if you can walk in a gym and crank out a set of pull-ups. It just makes you feel kind of badass. But I often see the training for trying to do pull-ups going so wrong, where women will be trying to work on their pull-ups and they just never seem to make any progress because they're not tapping into the main muscle that does pull-ups. So they don't spend time connecting and finding their lats. They end up trying to do their pull-up all with their bicep, and our poor little bicep muscle is not meant to be able to repetitively move that much body weight without a ton of help. So if you want to be successful at pull-ups, you've got to find those huge lats so they can help you pull up. Now, one of the techniques I came up with for my clients to help them actually find their lats to be able to do pull-ups, and also I find people who tend to repeatedly pull their shoulders down and have a lot of neck tightness tend to hold a lot of tension in their lats. Now, holding that underlying low level of tension creates a lot of stress. When a muscle is strong, it also knows how to let go. So finding and working those lats can actually really help them let go and thus relieve neck tension and relieve some pressure. All right, so go ahead and find a chair if you can, or something that is going to be about the right height, either sitting down or standing up. You want it to be about level with your armpit. And then we're going to use an isometric hold to help you find your lats. So you are going to think about pushing down into the chair. Now, what I will often see when people try to go start to do a pull-up is their neck and shoulders will come up, their neck will disappear, and you can see how I'm pulling just all with just my shoulder and my arm, and I'm not getting anything in here. But if I keep my shoulder down and long and focus on feeling and finding my lat, relaxing my hand, going for the big muscle, you can see my lat wanting to pop out. I can feel it all the way down in through here. Big lat muscle. I'm gonna have a lot more force with doing a pull-up than if I let my shoulders come up. But the problem is if we wait until we're actually doing the pull-up to try to then find our lat, it's too hard because it's too much movement, too much weight. And so find it here, give me 3 to 5 sets of just an isometric hold, holding for 10 to 15 seconds, really feeling that lat kick in. And what you're gonna feel is, this is squishy. Look, I can pinch my upper trap. It is soft and squishy. This upper trap should not be kicking in overly for these pull-ups. And so you wanna make sure that upper trap is nice and relaxed and we are feeling it all in those lats. So if you start with that isometric hold, you're gonna be able to really find those lats, tap into them. And then when you go to do your pull-ups, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I feel my big muscles working. Now, if you are good at pull-ups and you really feel like working on them is a problem for your pelvic floor maybe, and the lats are creating a lot of pressure, upper abs are creating a lot of pressure, then what I want to do is encourage you to work on building your middle and lower traps. And so I want you to think about working on the rest of that scapula muscle system to really help support your lats. So I personally had a lot of pressure coming back postpartum with pull-ups. They create a lot of pressure down on my pelvic floor. And so I took a whole season off from doing pull-ups and I did nothing but mid-back work. I did nothing but rows, flies, lower trap work. And then when I came back to trying pull-ups again months later, I actually could do more pull-ups with less pelvic floor pressure because I had built that whole support system through my scapula and that great scapula base. And so sometimes we can't figure things out until we know what we need, or we're in it or we see it. And so if you need to work that whole scapula support system, then you might need to take a little bit of a break from pull-ups. So either way, find those lats. We want to be able to turn them on and turn them off to help let go of our neck. We want to be able to get those nice big lat muscles stronger. If you're dealing with too much pressure from those lats, work those middle traps, work those lower traps, really get that scapula support system stronger, and then that is going to multiply your pull-ups. And then keep a journal. Write down what you're doing. Consistency is king here. I'll see people who say, I can never do a pull-up. I'm like, well, tell me about your workout plan. And they're like, well, like once every other week, if I'm being honest. And I'm like, well, that's not enough to actually build strength and muscle. So keep that journal and aim for 3 days a week of working toward your pull-ups if that's your goal, and aim for overload. I really like the principle of maxing out, going as heavy as I can with great form. So not as heavy as I can just with whatever form, but as heavy as I can with great form, to where I barely leave one in the tank at the end, one in the tank with good form. And I think that's really important to really keep that good form in check if you're wanting your body to move well and be purposeful in that movement. So give that a shot and see if that does not help multiply your pull-up strength.